And that plays a role in causing cardiovascular disease. I mean, that's the number one killer in the United States. This is probably one of the most exciting pieces of evidence I've seen with respect to, exercise and aging. And that is that being part of an exercise protocol was shown to reverse the structural changes that occur with age in the heart by 20 years. So, what do I mean by that? And the question is, well, how do you improve your cardiorespiratory fitness, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you lift weights? Do you go for runs? Do you bike? What is it that is really good at improving cardiorespiratory fitness?
So read here with me. The leading cause of death globally include heart disease, stroke, and chronic respiratory diseases. So if you take vascular, which is veins as well, and heart disease and respiratory diseases, this is the leading cause of death around the world. For my employees, for my family, for myself, this is where you start because it's the biggest killer around the world. This lady explains how to make your heart 20 years younger through certain exercises. That means you can extend your life by 20 years.
There have been studies, multiple studies, that have shown people that engage in moderate intensity exercise. So this is the kind of exercise when you're breathy, but you can still kind of have somewhat of a conversation. Even people that are engaging in that type of exercise for 2.5 hours a week, so this is following the physical activity guidelines, 40% of those people can't improve their cardiorespiratory fitness.
Isn't that incredible what she said? People involved in light exercises, all these millions of people walking, jogging slowly, whatever the exercise, the light exercise is not going to change the structure of your body to make you 20 years younger, change your heart, change your brain. You'll hear later she says you must be involved in more vigorous exercise to the point where you cannot talk while doing it. That is going to change your body and push your body to the next level.
There have been studies, multiple studies, that have shown people that engage in moderate intensity exercise. So this is the kind of exercise when you're breathy, but you can still kind of have somewhat of a conversation. Even people that are engaging in that type of exercise for 2.5 hours a week, so this is following the physical activity guidelines, 40% of those people can't improve their cardiorespiratory fitness. And it's like, well, I don't know about you, but like, I don't want it to be a coin toss in terms of like, if I'm doing that kind of exercise, well, if I have a 50% chance of not improving my cardiorespiratory fitness if I'm doing this, I want the sure thing. And the sure thing is you take those people and then you have them engage in high intensity interval training and they're able to improve their cardiorespiratory fitness. And that's because you're putting a stronger stress on your cardiovascular system. And so the adaptations are greater. And I would say that the most well-researched protocol for that would be something called the Norwegian 4x4. And that is where you're doing a longer interval. It's a 4-minute interval. And it's best done on either a stationary bike or maybe a rowing machine. And you're going as hard as you can and maintain that intensity for 4 minutes. And then you're going to go down to light exercise and recover for 4 minutes and let your heart rate go down. And you do that 4 times. So it's a 4x4. And that is probably one of the most robust ways to improve cardiorespiratory fitness. But there are other ways, even doing, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. So you do 1 minute as hard as you can go, again, for that entire minute. You're not going all out, but as hard as you can and maintain that for the entire minute. And then you rest a minute and you do that, 10 times. So it's a 20-minute workout.
So for the several million people that are listening right now, if you had to prescribe them all something to do, and it was the minimum they had to do, tell me what exactly the workout would look like and how frequent it would be on a weekly basis.
I would say the minimum effective dose would be once a week.
Okay.
And it would probably be the 1 minute on, 1 minute off. There's the minimum, right? So the 1 minute on, 1 minute off. But I would say the Norwegian 4x4 is the gold standard. And that's because it's not only improving cardiorespiratory fitness. This is probably one of the most exciting pieces of evidence I've seen with respect to, exercise and aging. And that is that being part of an exercise protocol was shown to reverse the structural changes that occur with age in the heart by 20 years. So, what do I mean by that? I mean, people that were 50 years old that were sedentary, so they weren't really going to the gym, they weren't engaging in any sort of physical activity, but they weren't, they didn't have diseases. They didn't have type 2 diabetes, they didn't have cardiovascular disease, they didn't have any diseases, right? And they're 50, so they're midlife. And this was done by Ben Levine out of UT Southwest in Dallas. He took these, 50-year-olds and put them on a pretty intense exercise routine for 2 years. Towards the ends of about the first 6 months, these people were exercising about 5 to 6 hours a week. And that included 1 to 2 sessions of the Norwegian 4x4. And it also included a lot of, they're doing moderate to vigorous intensity cycling or running. And they did this for 2 years. Their hearts were looked at. And so as we age, our hearts shrink and they get stiffer. And that plays a role in causing cardiovascular disease. I mean, that's the number 1 killer in the United States. And so essentially these 50-year-olds had their heart, the structure, so it was bigger and less stiff after 2 years of this, exercise protocol. It essentially made their hearts look like 30-year-olds. And I mentioned they were 50-year-olds. I mean, that's amazing. That's incredible that you can take someone midlife, put them on a 2-year training protocol, and reverse the aging of their heart by 20 years.
So on this Norwegian 4x4, you've convinced me to give it a shot. But specifically how I do that, so it's I do my warm-up, and then I do 4 minutes of hard exercise. I take a break, and the exercise I'm doing in those 4 minutes can be any number of things, but I just have to get up to 80% of my exertion levels, 80% difficulty. The assault bike.
You could do assault bike, yep, assault bike. You can do a rowing machine. You could do a stationary cycling machine as well.
Could I run?
You can, but you can run. Like whatever it is that you like to do, and you are going as hard as you can for that 4 minutes and maintain within that 4 minutes. So it's not an all out, or it's far from all out, right? But you're not really having a conversation while you're doing it. And then the 4 minutes of recovery, if you're running, you kind of go down to walking. If you're on the rowing machine or the assault bike, you're just going very slow. You're just really going slow, and you're letting your heart rate come down. You're letting your muscles kind of recover. And then after that 4-minute recovery, you go back to the 4 minutes of like intense again. And you're doing that 4 times.